So welcome to Boxing Media Hub, proudly in partnership with Falcon Contracting and Jam's Boxing Chat, and we are live. So yes, here we are for another episode of Joel and Shauna's Boxing Breakdown. How about that? We'll take that.
We'll take it.
We'll take that. It feels like you're part of the furniture now. Do I really need to introduce you anymore?
No, not really. I think people know who I am by now.
No, that's it. That's it. In a good way, obviously. In a good way.
The best.
So yeah, we had a good discussion last week. The biggest thing that came out of it, all right, and I'll tell you now that everyone's been chomping my ear off about is why has Shauna changed her name to Shauna Brown on everything?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're sticking with Shauna Brown because my rankings have now went to Shauna Brown and the world governing bodies know me as Shauna Brown. So I was going to go through this whole hullabaloo of changing it to O'Keefe, as my dad's name is O'Keefe and that's the name I've went by, but my dad isn't on my birth cert. That's why I'm leaving Shauna Brown, and that's my mum's name. But now I spoke to my manager, and obviously my manager knows best. He said, don't change it. Leave it as Shauna Brown now because you're known worldwide as Shauna Brown. So, hi, my name is Shauna Brown. Lovely to meet you. That's my name.
There we go. So that's cleared up for everyone. Can I stop getting messages now, please? Like I'm your some sort of PA.
Let's be honest with it. It's going to take a while for people's heads to be wrapped around the fact that I've changed my name to Shauna Brown, but I think give it a few weeks, Shauna O'Keefe will be a distant memory.
Not in my world. Not in my world. Gerard has jumped in. Who are you? He's always going to be like that. Jam has put big up Joel and Shauna. Hawkan, good evening, Joel and Shauna Brown.
Lovely. Good.
Here it comes. Here it comes. But we're here for a very interesting chat this evening. One that has probably peed more people off in boxing than anything else, I think. More to do, less with the judge. Well, it's the judges and the scorecards, but mainly how we can solve the problem, how we can get around things. Me and Jan were sort of having a chat about it, and we've seen some dodgy decisions. Even with your fight, Shauna, the scorecards were closer than they should have been.
Way closer than they should have been here. You're being a bit like, yeah, way closer, like, yeah.
But that was one example. We've seen some really outrageous scorecards, haven't we? That where you look at them and you go, how did you even come close to that? And we're kind of going to be looking at how they can approach this, because it's one of those where a lot of people have said if judges come to their conclusion, they've got their scores right, they've got to the end of the fight, they've got their scores, and one is totally out there, the 99 to 91s, those sort of scores. Should they go before a panel? This has always been a big thing. Should they go before a panel and explain their scorecards? Like Jam's just said, judges should have to explain their scorecards at the end of every fight, in my opinion. Should be scrutinised every time after some lately again. What do you think, Shauna? I know it's a difficult one for you because you're at that end of it.
Well, to be honest, we actually only had a conversation about it today. So there's an amateur girl in our stable, Kayla Allen. Shout out to her, lads. If you don't know her, check her out. She's absolutely incredible. She's on the GB team. She's the 66 girl. And she was over in the World Championships, lads. And she should have beat, I think it was Bulgaria she had in the final. And she should have beaten. But listen to this, right? So They gave it a 10-9 to Bulgarian girl. The second one was a 9-9, they said, right? So it was even Steven. And then after it, apparently she got a warning, the Bulgarian one, so it became a 10-8 round to Kayla. And then the last round, Kayla absolutely made mincemeat of the Bulgarian girl. But they had to spend a small bit longer recounting, and it came down to a 3-2 split to the Bulgarian girl after Kayla winning a 10-8 on the second round. It was 10-9. It shouldn't have been. That's in amateur boxing. I could go way back to even 2012 Olympics, watching someone's fight in the 2012 Olympics, Michael Condon in 2016, so on and so forth. It's happening everywhere. There's corruption everywhere, unfortunately, in amateurs and in the pros, and I don't believe anything's going to be done with it. Like, you're saying that judges should be scrutinized. At the end of it, they should be brought in front of a panel. To me, and I know what everybody in the governing bodies are going to say, it's extra work, so they won't want to do it. Like, I had the promoters come up to me in Australia after the scorecards called out. It's out of their hands, lads. It's completely out of the promoters' hands who's sitting in the judges' seats. It's to do with the panel. So what you do, you write a letter, go to the panel. They'll read it, they'll ignore it, and then it'll be on to the next person that they're going to screw. So as much as it's something you would love to be sorted in amateurs and in pros, because at the end of the day, they're messing with somebody's life. Because I'm going to tell you straight out, I wouldn't have taken it very well if I got robbed out of that fight in Australia. And people say it happens all the time, but it shouldn't be normalised. Kayla had the Bulgarian girl that's an Olympic come up to her. Well, I'm Olympian. Who are you? Like,
Yeah.
sorry. And another coach came up to her. That's boxing. That's not boxing. That's the game you're in. This isn't a game, but they're playing with people's fucking lives. They're dedicating their whole entire life to this sport, to leave somebody to sit in their fucking arse in a seat to ruin it all just because they
Yeah.
felt like it, or maybe they favour. And then the other thing you need to look at, who's favoured more out of the two fighters. That does play a massive part into it. It does, lads. I don't care what anybody says. It does. So there's loads of factors, right? But I still don't believe, no matter how much we talk about it, I don't believe they're going to do anything about it. They're not.
Yeah.
And pick up, like I spoke to Kayla. Kayla handled it extremely maturely for a 20-year-old woman. If it was anyone else, they would have kicked up a fuss. She kicked up a fuss there, and then they wouldn't bring her anywhere. They have somebody else that's going to go and put up with it. Like, do you get me? That's the
Yeah.
unfortunate thing about it. So the fighters are screwed either way, which is so wrong, because without the fighters, you don't have the sport.
Well, I hate I hate what someone said when they said that's boxing. For me, that's bollocks. That is absolute bollocks. That's not boxing in the slightest. That's further away than the natural thing that we used to see. We didn't get all that back in the day. We didn't get, there was always a bit of controversy, but it never got this bad. It's
No.
really bad now. And
How
and
are
I
you?
think, like
How
me and
are
Jan was saying the other day, it's almost like you we talk about that side of things, but there was also the system that they spoke about where they should reveal their scores after each round. Now, how would you feel about that, Shauna? Like, so you've had your round one, and then the judges have reeled out their scores for everyone to see. How would you feel about that? Because that might kick another fighter into action, mightn't it?
Yeah, I think it's really good. Like, we used to do it in the amateurs, but we were told every round whether we were up or down, and it is a good thing. It definitely is a good thing to be hearing.
Yeah, I think especially when you say you're getting into those championship rounds, should we say, you're 8, 9, and 10, or you're 10, 11, 12, where you're down on the cards, but your corner thinks, you know, things are going better than they are, and then all of a sudden you have that realization that actually you lost that last round. The next two rounds are vital, and that might put a bit of spice and a bit of excitement back into boxing. Not that it's lost it, but it gets it taken out of it when you see those sort, we hear about this thing happening, like Nina Hughes, isn't she? She's got, Johnson again, on the Australian undercard. She had the wrong announcement was made in her fight, and that was shocking. But I spoke to Nina yesterday, by the way. Check out the interview, very good. It was one of those where she turned around and said, "But I've got to be really convincing. I've got to take it to the judges." My corner even said in the last round, "Stay out the way, stick behind your jab, do what you're doing because you're winning." Look what happened.
Yeah, it's one of those things, lads. Regardless, I wouldn't leave anything to a judge's chance. Like, let's be honest about it. Like, I'm obviously going to go back to my fight because I've experienced it. If I didn't knock her down in the seventh round and I wouldn't even mind on the scorecards. One of the judges didn't even give it a 10-8 round to me. If I didn't knock her down in the seventh, lads, I would have lost the fight. And I threw everything and the kitchen sink at that woman. I didn't come up for fucking air. So give all the advice, just don't know, right? One thing I would say, don't ever leave anything to judges' chances. And if you have a punch, try and knock the person out, especially knowing who, depending on who you're up against and depending on where you're fighting. If it's places where you know you're going to be robbed, throw everything in the kitchen sink, do a kind of walker on it. And no matter, just ping them because you never know. You might get lucky. You might get that lucky shot, and that's your chance. You've taken it out of anybody else's hands to take it from you. Do you get me? You've taken full control of it. So unfortunately, in this game, I would say don't leave anything to chance. And if your fucking coaches tell you to roll on back, folks, you're winning. Don't like. I wouldn't leave any chance, lads.
I
No.
suppose it's a tough one though, isn't it? Because if you literally have done everything and say you've knocked a person down, it's broad daylight that you can see that you have won on points, and yet it goes to those judges, and it just sometimes there's just a mugging, isn't there, Shauna? Let's be honest.
Yeah, if there was something that could be done, lads, they would have done it long ago. Because it is getting worse as the time goes on. Like, but people aren't being helped, and the people that it's happened to, they're not making enough noise because, unfortunately, in this sport, when you make the wrong sort of noise and make the wrong enemies, lads, you can be brushed aside and you can be blacklisted. You can be tarnished very quickly. It's such a big sport, so small. So once a word gets around that anything bad about you, about moaning, this, that, the other thing, people won't want to work with you. So whether you keep your mouth shut or you open, you're in trouble. You can't really help yourself either way, to be honest. So unfortunately, until somebody does come up with a solution to help fighters, that this doesn't happen as much, I would probably just be keeping quiet, man.
Can't you just blame Shauna O'Keefe?
No bother. It's like water off my back, but I don't really care. I'll take the blame for absolutely anything.
They'd be like, they'd be like, "Who's O'Keefe anyway?" And you just go, "Look, it was her. It wasn't me. I'm a new person now. That's it."
I'm her doppelganger.
Yeah. Oh dear. Corruption, home judge advantage. Yeah, that's another biggie. As like you were saying, go to another country, but we've seen it where it has gone the other way. So it's not always the case. Like yourself, Tyson Fury, when he went against Klitschko, he defied the odds, and everyone thought it was going to swing the other way. We've seen it happen. It's just almost, as sad as it sounds, almost unluck of the draw. you know, as I say, value to go again. Only way to rid is that the judge should be reviewed by panel, fined and suspended, even dismissed. Hawkins put in one in there. Is Shauna Belfast bound with little eyes? She is indeed. Yeah, she's still waiting to find out, Jam. I don't even know. Wink, wink, says Gerard. I'd have her at Royal Albert Hall on March the 7th, to be honest. No one brings the fire like Miss Brown. Yeah, I'm annoying her all the time so I can scrutinise her opponent for her and give her feedback, even if she likes it or not. We used to get a bit, but not like nowadays. The problem with round scoring is, though, it takes the excitement and anticipation away from the fans. Otherwise, I'd agree. Yeah, I can see both sides there, but at the same time, that could kick the fighter into action, like we were saying, and make it even more exciting, couldn't it?
Yeah, I agree, but
What would you prefer? What would you prefer?
I prefer to know, to be honest. And either way, lads, when you're in the ring and you have some sort of an idea of boxing, you know what's going on. You're free, and you know whether you're winning or not winning. No, you're well in tune. So, and whether or not the scorecards are shown, I think a fighter should, they should put fire in their own asses, regardless of whether they know they're up or down. They should be into it. Shouldn't matter, to be honest. But for judges not being able to, like, I think if the judging had to be shown, judging would be more in tune, because you can find, no offense, right? But I know even in the amateurs, in a night of boxing, it's a long night. So they could end up thinking they're looking at the, but they're looking at the red, and they'll end up clicking the, liking the red, but they end up clicking the blue, or so on and so forth. Mistakes are easily made in this sport, like. So I reckon that could be, if the scorecard was done, at least they know who they're picking. They'd have to go with the right ones everybody's watching, and they can't go back on the choice that they're making. That could be another thing.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think anything's going to change, Shauna? Let's be honest.
For I honestly don't. I honestly don't know. I don't at all. I
Yeah,
really.
and this is the thing. I think it's just going to be one of those. WBC used to have updates of scores from judges during fights. Um, it isn't fair on a fighter to lose their O and cost the value for future fights of that fighter. Yeah, 100%. I had to agree with Gerard there. That's the first. Jams, was that the every 3 rounds, Hawkan? I used to hate that. Spoilt the surprise. I want them to get it right, to be honest, not explain during the rounds, during the bouts. People will be leaving by the 7th. Yeah. Yeah. Conlon in the Olympics that time, the fighter pulled out afterwards. He was that he was beat up. Patricia Burgolt, WBC title fight in 2021 against, I'm going to absolutely kill names, Belkasham, had it every 3 rounds. We need ex-boxers as judges. What do you make of that? They know the game, they know the crack. People's careers shouldn't be ruined by bad judges.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a bad idea. They're talking an awful lot about ex fighters, male and female, coming in as coaches or coming in on as MCs, and I think it's not a bad shout, lads. They're the people that'll be bringing on the next generation and educating the next generation, so on and so forth. I don't get why it's not like a full circle. Do you get me? You're a fighter, you do whatever you have to do, and then go on and do either judging, refereeing, MCing, something to do with boxing, especially if you were one of the greats, because everything that you've learned you can pass on to the next up and coming great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've seen it with a lot of people, haven't we? You know, people going to punt. I think keep boxers around boxing unless they really don't want to be there. Because some say, thank you, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. I've been around it. I've done all the traveling. I want to be with the family. I totally understand that. But at the same time, I also think keep them like pundits. Some of the best boxers are pundits. Like Sonny Edwards, retired at a
Yeah,
relative age. He's a great pundit.
my favorite one on Matchroom by far is Darren Barker. Darren Barker is brilliant, lads. He is just very, very good.
Yeah, yeah. He's really gone to it. I think Bellew stepped in. Obviously, Johnny Nelson's been around a while now. You know, my wife's favourite, David Hay, but we don't talk about him too much. It's those characters. But as you say, some of the best boxers are now trainers. coaches. Um, how about, we've got boxers being referees. I've got Wayne Alexander, who's
Yeah.
become a good mate of mine. He does reffing for like the white collar and the amateur scene because he knows the sport. So what would be any different being a referee or being a judge?
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, at least they'd be the ones that are actually watching something that they have a bloody clue on what they're watching.
This is it. And they can say firsthand how that fighter might be feeling, what they're actually experiencing because they've been there and done it. Like, you'd probably be a cracking official. You'd probably want to punch the other person in the face. But it's one of those, isn't it?
Would be good at it, man, but I think the hardest thing for me is to not open my mouth while I'm watching. Fucking hell, I get very involved in fights, right? Very involved in watching. I'm in the crowd, like I'm one of those. Yeah,
I don't think I could sit next to you at home and watch a fight.
I get well into it.
Do you think even more so when they're Irish?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because we're very loud.
I wouldn't have thought that coming from you, to be honest. Such a quiet girl. Yeah, Matthew Simpson, a lovely comment there. Join me in prayer for Joe Gallagher, who came out today. Is known he's got cancer, stage 4. So yeah, thoughts and prayers with Matt, with Joe Gallagher and his family at this time. It's a tough time, but we're all in support of you, Joe. And he wants to stick in and around boxing. He said to give himself escapism. So big shout out to Joe Gallagher and all the fighters and family. Top guy. Next fight, knockout, and then you don't have to wait for the scorecard. It's that simple. It's simple, Shauna. Just knock people out.
I like your thinking, DJ Pat. Is that it? I like
Yeah.
your thinking, right? That will make it so much easier. Don't leave it to chance, but win absolutely. That's it. End of the story.
But you've got the power though to do it. Not everyone has, have they?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. That was so modest as well. Yeah, I do. That's the way it is. Great pundit, bad judge. Who are you talking about, Gerard? Talking about Shauna? You better be careful on that one, mate. Me too. I go off my rocker watching boxing. Just ask Joel. I was going mad on your bout with Taylor. Yeah, he was cheering for Taylor.
Excuse me, were you?
No, I'm joking. I was thinking, come on, just hit her a bit harder. I want to see what Shauna's made of. To be fair, you showed what you were made of, and I wouldn't fight you.
Anything yet, lads? Not yet. Absolutely not.
Still training. But yeah, so it is one of those with the judges and the scorecards. I think it's forever going to be talked about. It's going to be forever talked about. But at the same time, I just don't think anything's ever going to be done. I think that's a sad reality. Unless we have one governing body, I think that's when it could change. And that's what Turkey Al Sheikh's been talking about.
Yeah.
We've got all these WBC, IBF, WBO, WBA, IBO, all the others. But there needs to be one central head for judging, scorecards, drug tests. That's going to be another thing we're going to be having a chat about at some point. All those sorts of things need to come under one umbrella, don't they? But nothing will change until it does, because everyone's got their own thing.
Yeah, so the idea that the Turk has of making it like UFC, I think, is powerful. That way, the real fights will always happen. No one can avoid anybody, and you'll be guaranteed that the winner comes out on top. The biggest thing about UFC, lads, that you have to give them props for. The winner out of the two comes out, or sorry, the one with the most heart, the one that goes in and actually wants it, is the one that comes out victorious. and that's it. They literally go in for the kill. Boxers don't. You might have one out of the two that mates. Very, very seldom you will have two that go in with the same instinct that cage fighters have. That if I don't kill you, you're going to kill me kind of vibe. Do
Yeah.
you get? That's the way it needs to be. They'll have something either they'll be back for fight, they'll do something, they'll top you up. Loads of things fighters can do nowadays to trick or to it's ring craft. They use really clever ring craft to be able to win a fight, but without actually fighting. You get me? That's gotta go, man. That is gotta go. Literally meet in the center of the ring. Whoever comes out victorious is the one who down the line and gives it absolutely everything to win the fight, and that's what we're making. That's going to come out on top. That way, then you have a fucking. You'll know who the clear winner is. Also, man. That's it. They can't be going with who they favor or who has the better reputation or love the world most. Whoever goes in and lays it down and does everything and actually wins the belt, wins the belt. Same way it is in UFC, lads. That's what you see in UFC. That's what sticks out like a sore thumb. That's why their numbers are so big. That's why they have the following they have, because they have, my French, bollocks. They have massive bollocks, man.
You don't though, Shauna, do you?
I have plenty, don't you worry. Bigger than most honest.
That's going to find more questions out than anything in this episode. I can tell you now that Shauna has bigger bollocks than most blokes. Shauna would be better as a pundit and speak her mind, but she'd lose the plot watching fights and forget to judge it. She'd be dancing and swinging as she was in there, 100%. He knows you. I said last week, she's like an Energizer bunny, so excitable. That's what makes watching her fight so much fun. You know she's going 110% every time. You're a Duracell bunny. There you go. Have you had that before?
A Duracell bunny, of course
Yeah.
I have. My brother called a Duracell bunny since he's about 13 in the boxing club by my
Wow. Yeah, there you go. Shauna Duracell Bunny Brown. It's there. Exactly, Jam. That's why would be a bad judge. She would forget to score it. Yeah, she'd knock most men out. That's for damn sure, says Jam. But yeah, like we say, it has to be under one umbrella. It has to be like that for it to move forward. I can't see it because there's too much money, there's too much greed, there's too many clashes of personalities and old habits that need to be broken before we can move forward in any shape or form in that. We have the nickname, said Jam. But yeah, let's see. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully we just get less shitty decisions, to be perfectly honest. We see enough in football, we see enough in other sports. I think it's just officiating in general in the UK just seems to really suck.
Well, it's not just you, because there was another card I was on in the Tree Arena. Tom Loeffler, 360 Promotions, and two Irish guys competed against each other, and the winner lost like massively. Do you get me? He got absolutely battered. The rematch is actually in Madison Square Garden. So it was a clash between Kevin Cronin and Kevin Cronin.
Brennan.
Brendan. Oh, so bad.
Oh, I've had him on the channel.
Yeah, so he's Dublin. What's his name? Emmett Brennan.
That's it. I knew it was Brennan.
I heard. So I didn't watch the fight, lads, because I was running around the free arena seeing everybody. But I heard Kevin Cronin an absolute of account of himself and beat beat Emmett Brennan. But Emmett got the decision, lads, and it was supposed to be awful, like really bad. So now rematch. But there was also another guy that was on that is fighter Jonathan Bryan actually knocked Jonathan Bryan trainer, and his fighter got robbed, bashered you man. Now I mean he gave him a lesson and gave the fight to the other guy. Jonathan ended up writing a really descriptive letter to governing bodies that it needs to go to Mel Crystal, the whole lot. And there again, nothing it was out of his guy then on his record at a loss. And that fight would have set him up for fighting for a title as in his next fight, and it got taken away from him. So it's everywhere.
Well, there we have it. It's horrific. It is horrific. Um, yeah, there's not much else we can say on this one. It's one of those topics that's just going to keep going round and round, and we're just going to get more cheesed off, and we just have to we've just got to enjoy the fights that come along, and basically Shauna's saying knock everyone out.
Yeah,
Then you've got no problem.
God that it doesn't happen, because I swear to God, I won't take it lightly with other people as much as I'd like to. But yeah, unfortunately, it is one of those topics, lads. You can talk about it till you're blue, but it'll only frustrate. There's nothing you can do about it at all. Unfortunately, there's definitely better things we can be talking about. So I'm going to actually want to try and find out, lads. So whoever's on listening now, even Jam, we're trying to figure out what fans attract to in a fighter. So it's a thing that I'm trying to query, right? Obviously, being a prospect and fan base, sell tickets, so on and so forth. That's the most important thing about this sport, bums and seats, because without the support system, what's the point, right? It's all about the fans as well as the fighter. Without them, what is the point? No offense. So, oh fucking yes, there is. I'm literally going to sleep of my life again, lads. I'm not going to waste it. I'm not going to waste it in the zone.
Do you know who you're fighting yet, or you're not allowed to say?
I actually don't have a clue. I don't really care either. It all matters. It's all there.
That's it.
But
That's it.
we want to figure out what fans like to see in fighters. Do they like the person? Do they like the grit? Like the inside work in the ring? Is it accumulation of everything? Do they chat? What is it? So this is what we're talking about next week, because I really want to delve into it, especially because I'll be going into fight week the week after. So it'd be good to nail down a couple of things, because I want to educate myself on it.
Yeah, no.
We need to nail down what is it that fans like to see in fighters, and why is a fighter your favorite? What do they do their favorite fighter?
So yeah, so we've been trying to find the best way to describe this really, and it's definitely a case of, as a fan, what makes your fighter your favorite? You know, why do you love that fighter so much? What do you like about the fighter? Is it, as you say, is it the brawler mentality? Is it the tactician? Is it the technical ability? Is it the trash talking? Is it the Derek Chisora throwing a table at a press conference? Is it all those different aspects? Like, Derek's a prime example, to be fair. He hasn't got the greatest record, you know, going out there, but he's got a cracking resume, but he wears his heart on his sleeve. He gives 100% every time he fights. He's got overhands like there's no tomorrow. He knows how to talk up a fight. He's kind of a full package, where there's other fighters we like to watch, like Inoue, the Japanese absolute monster. Very quiet, goes about his work in the ring. It's all about walking the walk rather talking the talk.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
The thing that we need to get to, like, there's loads of fighters that we love, right? But who are the fighters you'd buy tickets to go see? Who are the fighters that you'd buy tickets to even travel and see, to the likes of America, Saudi Arabia, Ireland, so on and so forth? And why? What makes them become that fighter that you want to travel and follow? Because Like, I give you an example. I was at the first one, and that's the crowd that Fury got for the first one. My God, there was hundreds that travelled. Not as many in the second one, but it was there in the first one. So it's stuff like that you want to, even like the prime example, Conor McGregor, lads. The following that man got. Like, I'm only using him as an example for the following. That's it. What he got together, what he got behind him for the wins, for the press conferences, for the fights, the whole lot. That's what we need. I don't believe we have something as big over in this side of the pond. I don't. Maybe in America, for the fighters in Mexico, so on and so forth. But the likes of you, the likes of Ireland.
I'd say Joshua was probably the
Yeah.
mold breaker, wasn't he?
But who else could you say?
Shauna Brown.
We will be there once I do my right fucking research. We will be there.
See, I think you're already there, and this isn't me like kissing your ass because I'm not. I don't need to.
I'm not
But
yet.
but no, but I think you're more there than you realise. You've got the gift of the gab. You make connections with the fans. You take your time with the fans, which is major for a fan base. Major. And I'll tell you now, because there's a lot of people out there who, you know, thank the fans, they thank it all at the end. But when it comes to it, like signing an autograph, chatting to someone, being with someone on social media, do you know what I mean? All those things are major ticks in the box for fans, and you do it. You
Yeah,
you build such a fan base already. When you went to Australia, I bet there was Irish hanging out over there, waiting to see you fight.
yeah. Well, it was unbelievable, to be honest. It wasn't just Irish. A lot of the Aussies became my number one fans,
But
lads.
this is what I'm saying. If you can convert the fan base of the country that you're fighting in, and you're fighting their fighter, what else you got to do, Shauna? What else?
True.
Blimey, she's actually stopped talking. It's unbelievable. I'm joking, but it
No,
says it all.
I know. I'm still going to educate myself more and take on any more feedback that we can. And if anybody else has any more insight that they can give it. Because I do think it's a really good topic that I don't believe many people focus on, especially fighters. And that's like what you just spoke about. There's fighters out there that don't want to connect with the fans, and I don't get why. Because they're the ones that are the bums. They're the ones are putting their bums in the seats, lads, and they're the ones that matter. Without them, the stadiums can't be filled.
Well,
So
I met a fighter, right? I won't mention her name because I don't think it's right, to be fair. But I met a fighter I loved for years, right? Absolutely loved his fights. He was fantastic, right? Banging people out. He was the full works. He had everything. Met him in person, asked for a photo, and he went, oh, go on then. And do you know what? That changed everything for me. In that moment, and I'd watched that fighter for a lot of years, and
yeah,
that did it for me. That put a dent in me. And
yeah.
then another lad came over with his phone, and he said, "Oh, can I have a picture with you?" And he went, oh, "Go on then." And he went, "Oh no, I've just lost it on the camera." And as he went to do it again, he went, and the guy went, "Look, just do one." And it
Oh,
was almost heartbreaking for me because I thought, I've paid to watch you. I've I've given my time, and it's not all about me for giving it to that fighter. It's not just about me to get him to where he is. You've got to have drive. You've got to have the personality, like you were saying. You've got to have everything, but the fans are the driving force.
they are. And I don't believe fighters are focusing on it at all, or trying to even connect or find out what they want or what they like. And see, my mind goes a million miles per hour. I think about everything. I like to like tick every single box when it comes to this. And that's why I like to delve it, because at the end of the day, it's them that matters. You need to know what they like and what makes them tick. What do they like about you that you could do more? All these kind of things are valid questions.
Well, before you even open your mouth, I think the way you fight is a major thing. I think the way you fight, the way you go in there, heart on your sleeve, and you give 100%, I think that's your fan base already, because they love the way you fight. And that's before you've even made connections with the fans, talked, discussed who you really are, given them time about your past and all the rest of it. I think that just says it all. I think that really does. As I say, yeah, that's it. Derek Chisora, that sounds like he can be a real tool. Not going into anything. AJ once stopped outside a gym and took 6 pics with me years ago, right after the White fight. It made me a fan of his, because he gave me time. That says it all, doesn't it? And like, we will delve into this more. This is going to be something that we will look at. Shauna's been absolutely chewing my ear off over it, so we will definitely do this one. It's going to be a great one. But all I will say is, Shauna, you're an absolute star. Thank you very much for coming on, as always. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Really gone for it tonight, guys. Really appreciate it. All the messages, all the praise for Shauna. She deserves it. She's got some great stuff coming up. There's going to be stuff announced, so just stay tuned for Shauna. And yeah, fighters are so good to fans. Every fighter have been good to me on shows every time, which is really good to hear. Håkan, he travels from Sweden to the UK, to Ireland all the time. And you know what? He gets blessed by promoters. He's had some really, nice stuff that people have done for him. So that's what it's about. Boxing's a community where we should be coming together, not being, diverse and upsetting each other. Good luck in Belfast, Shauna. But yeah, Shauna, you're a star as always. Stay in touch. I know you will. And we will have a catch up soon. We'll be letting you know when we're going to do the show next week. We'll pin down a date and then we can go from there. But Shauna, until next time, thank you very much.
See you later.
Take care.
Bye.